With no end in sight to the current wave of asylum seekers, 9 News can reveal the true welfare cost to Australian taxpayers. A special investigation has uncovered the massive Centrelink bill to care for our new refugees.
The journey is desperate and dangerous, but effective. This year, more than 1,600 boat people have made it to Christmas Island, and almost all will make it to the mainland. Many more refugees arrive by plane, and some believe the Rudd government has created a new class of migrant.
What we've got to ask ourselves seriously is, are these all refugees or are these economic migrants?
Figures obtained under Freedom of Information show last year 13,500 asylum seekers were granted refugee status. Almost 3 out of every 4 are on Centrelink benefits. Looking further into the records of those accepted into the country since 1990, benefits are paid to nearly 1 in 4. The cost to the taxpayer this year will be $628 million, a 40% increase since the Rudd government came to power. Surprisingly, 1 in 5 refugees are on a disability pension at a cost of $23 million a year, and many also received the baby bonus.
What's happening is that they're being told to turn right at the lights, go straight to Centrelink, hook into welfare payments, and there they stay.
Under the Howard government, refugees were denied access to Centrelink benefits. Labor reversed the policy in August 2008, and since then, more than 40 boats have sailed into Australian waters.
The policy that was in place before was a policy that worked. The policy that you've got is the one that is flawed.
How is the food tonight?
Unbelievable, as always.
Tree and Lana Tran represent the majority, hard-working migrants who started with less than nothing. Lana's boat was shot to pieces by Vietnamese military.
Bullet hole everywhere at the back of it, but somehow it missed my body, just that little bit.
Tree's boat was intercepted by pirates who used pliers to pull out teeth with gold fillings.
Even though it happened 30 years ago, I still remember the scream of that guy in my head whenever I think about it.
They arrived in the 80s, their busy restaurant in Sydney, the end result of many jobs and long hours.
Australians are a very compassionate people, and when it's a genuine refugee, they say, well, we're a compassionate people, we allow that. But what Australians don't like is the idea that you are exploiting the system.
Denham Hitchcock, 9 News.
More police are flying to Christmas Island to restore order after asylum seekers torched buildings and hurled rocks at guards. The government has condemned the violence, but advocates say it's the result of spending too long in detention.
From flaming tempers to burning buildings, police say the attack by around 200 detainees was fast and aggressive. Armed with anything they could find, they attacked police with poles, even rocks. Staff were evacuated, police fired beanbag bullets and used tear gas to bring the 4-hour siege under control. Moments before the riot, scared residents predicted chaos would unfold.
Why can't we just stop the boats? The previous government did it, why can't this government do it?
The fear is there now. The fear is there. When you see people who's angry, they can do anything. They don't care who you are.
An extra 70 police are being sent to the island. They're still searching for some detainees.
We're not in a position to say definitely that they are all within the detention centre.
Protesters want visas. Instead, they might get jail time.
There is no excuse for violent and extreme behaviour.
105 detainees are being flown to the mainland today, more tomorrow.
You can't lock people up on an isolated island for years on end and expect that nothing will happen.
This is what happens when you have failed border protection policy.
The government denies the ongoing protests are sparking riots in other centres. In far north Queensland, one Afghan detainee took his own life. In Melbourne, one detainee started a treetop demonstration, refusing to climb down. Amanda Hart, 10 News.
Christmas Island were in charge of that detention centre. We saw them roaming the facility with Molotov cocktails. We saw them setting fire to wheelie bins, pushing those bins into buildings. and at least, I would say, 8 to 10 major structures, buildings, accommodation, buildings, everything that basically they could set fire to went up. We stood and watched on the top of a hill as building after building burnt to the ground. The Australian Federal Police took charge, moved in. We saw tear gas fired. We saw round after round of beanbag pellets, a bit like rubber bullets, I suppose. They have the same sort of effect. They'll knock you off your feet. We saw smoke grenades. We saw stun grenades fired in an attempt to regain control of that facility, and it took quite a while, but eventually the asylum seekers beat something of a retreat. We believe many of them have run off into the jungle. There are fences that are still down that haven't been repaired after the mass breakout from last weekend, and it's anyone's guess at the moment just how many people are missing from that facility. I've got to say, in fairness, 250 who've been protesting this week. It's about 10% of the population there. Most of the asylum seekers in there don't want to have anything to do with it. But at the moment, that small group, that 10%, the 250 who've been leading this, right, well, they seem to be the ones who are in charge of that camp. The problem is there are only something like 110 to 120 Australian Federal Police officers who've been brought onto the island to try and regain control there. They're pretty overwhelming odds when you think 2,000 single males being held in the camp, 110 officers. They're limited in the sort of force that they can actually use to keep order on those facilities. And I would be very surprised today as if we do not see charter flights coming into Christmas Island. We're miles away. Most of you probably don't even know where we are. It's about 3,000 kilometres out to sea in the middle of the Indian Ocean, an Australian territory in the middle of nowhere. There will have to be flights with more AFP officers, at least to double their numbers, to try and actually get full control back here, because at the moment it's a losing battle.